Hi there, BookTube, it's Roz. Now, tell me, how do you feel about reading goals? Sort of setting targets or personal challenges or particular intentions for your reading. Do you do that in January each year, or do you think that's a terrible idea? I've been watching it. Obviously, it's the end of January as I record this, and I've been watching a few people's sort of reading plans for 2024 videos, and I've noticed a fair few people saying, "I'm going to really dial back on making reading goals this year and try and be a bit more relaxed about it all." And that's got me thinking. I have really mixed feelings about setting goals and challenges and so on for myself about my reading. Really mixed. So this video is going to be a little bit of a ramble about that, plus a bit about, what my reading plans are for 2024, because I do have some. I think I might call this video "Reading Goals, Who Needs Them?" And apparently I do. But, well, shall I say more? The first reading goal that I really clearly remember setting myself in a really conscious way was sometime in my mid-20s, I suppose, when I resolved that I would only read women authors for a whole year, which I did, and it was a great experience. I really enjoyed that year. It was about, I suppose, counterbalancing the preponderance or over-representation of male authors in what I'd read sort of up to then, I thought. And it was just great setting some parameters for my year's reading. It made me read different things or seek things out or get to things I'd been meaning to. So, and I think, reading goals can have real positives like that. I know, and now I don't need something like that as a goal because I naturally read a really good mix, and probably usually more women than men, but fairly balanced, and of course now some non-binary authors sort of in there in the mix as well. But I do find that setting some sort of target or intention at times has helped me, shift my reading diet into different directions or change the balance or the range of it. And I like that. I know I think I realized sort of in probably my 40s, I'd got into the habit of only really reading novels and mostly only modern novels, with the very occasional sort of nostalgic reread of Jane Austen or something. But, essentially, the modern novel was my, it was a bit of a sort of, like being a vegan or something, it was sort of a bit of a monoculture in my reading. And so I thought, okay, I've forgotten that I can enjoy nonfiction. I've forgotten how to read poetry, for example. So I made a deliberate effort to sort of keep a tally and make sure I was reading maybe 12 nonfiction books over the course of a year and 12 sort of older books, things from before 1950, I think I aimed for, and I started reading poetry again. And what a joy that has been. And I think with some types of reading, if you get into the habit of it, you get things out of it. And so it becomes, a natural part of your reading. For example, a couple of years ago, I made a really conscious effort to read a comic or graphic memoir once a month, and that's taught me to enjoy reading that, and that was something I was missing out on, and so that's a good use of setting yourself some reading goals, I think, and thinking, what are my bucket list books and can I get around to them? And I've been managing to sort of get a couple of those in, every year for the last few years. Long things that I found intimidating, like, I don't know, Ulysses or Dante's Inferno. In fact, the whole of Dante's Divine Comedy, that would be a good example. So things like that I'd sort of put to one side and thought I'd like to read but not got around to. So that's got some rewards, hasn't it? So I do tend to set some reading goals. And then, since I joined BookTube, of course, I've got really caught up in the idea of reading events and there's the little mini goals and targets that you get from the prompts and challenges and of those sort of reading events, and that's been enormous fun. But, and this is the big but, okay, I do think that in the last couple of years I've got perhaps a little bit too sucked in with goals and reading events and prompts and all of that. It's not good when you're thinking, well, I can't read that because I won't get to finish it by the end of the month, and I need to do that sort of, I don't know, you can get too caught up in ticking things off and tallying things and or meeting specific sort of challenges or whatever. So I do think that you can. There is a risk for me of over planning, put it that way. That's something that I have a natural inclination to slip into. So this year I am going to try and set some sort of more moderate reading goals, put it that way, and we'll see how I get on with that. Do you think I'll manage it? Do I know myself not well enough to? Well, I don't know. One thing, obviously, I will keep going with is my Scallydandling challenge to read a book from every country in the world. Now, that as a goal has been fun in itself, but also really has opened up the world of translated fiction to me, so that now, I read loads of translated fiction, even when it's, not from new countries that I'm chasing. In terms of the challenge, I've only got 11 countries left, but it's inevitably really slowing down now, because those 11 countries are ones where it's not easy to find something readily available in English. So I will keep going with that, but I'm not going to kind of be annoyed with myself if I can't tick off a country every month, say. Now, I said about kind of bucket list books and enjoying kind of challenging myself to actually get to some of those. And what I've realised is that I really enjoy having one or two long, slow reads on the go. So at the moment, I'm working my way through the Canterbury Tales by Chaucer, and that'll kind of carry on till sort of midsummer maybe. And I've started the Iliad, inspired by Emily Wilson's brilliant new translation. I've got that underway, and I'm planning to spread that over the year. If I do it faster than I expect, then I'll go straight on to the Odyssey, I think. So that's sort of long, slow, no rush, not driven, just enjoy it. Don't try and finish it by a particular date so that you're hurrying through it. That's definitely part of my 2024 plans, and I really, recommend that as a way of embarking on those things that you might otherwise find intimidating. Buddy reads are good for that, and buddy reads is definitely something that I will keep in my reading plans. I've got a few planned for something for February. Well, I've had one in January, something for February, something for March, something for April, but I am going to try to avoid getting carried away by FOMO, fear of missing out, and stick to no more than one a month, 2 at the most, because again, it's that thing of leaving a little bit of space in my plans for spontaneity, for seeing something new and thinking, oh, I'd like that, or just having a change of plan. I'm going to apply the same approach to reading events. I'm going to have to keep saying to myself, Ros, nobody out there actually cares whether you read something for every prompt in a reading. You can take part, but not do all of it. It's okay. So, I'm going to keep telling myself that and dip in and out of them more, and particularly use them to help with a challenge that I have got on the go, which is a read your own challenge. And I'm not being sort of religiously careful about that, but I have realised that it would be a good idea to kind of catch up a bit with the piles of books I have around the house and the mountain of things, of ebooks that I have that I genuinely want to read and haven't got around to. So I'm trying to focus on reading things that I own, whilst allowing myself to get books out of the library, or get the occasional thing for a buddy read, say, or a reading event. So those are my sort of general reading plans, which, do you think they sound doable, reasonable? Will I stay? Well, but the thing that I absolutely am going to do this year is a real positive goal is to be a good host for the reading events that I'm committed to helping make happen. And so I'm going to tell you about those now so that you can start planning ahead, because I hope you might want to join me and the other hosts for some or all of them. So in April, there will be People April again, and that was new this year. And it's about reading books about people. So memoirs, biographies, collections of letters, diaries, graphic memoirs, all that sort of thing. So people books, that's in April. Every August, I'm one of the hosts for a group read or read along of a William Faulkner book, Faulkner in August we call it, and that's going to come around again this year, and I'm going to try and sort of throw myself into that well. And then October, Victober, the joy that is Victober's feast of Victorian reading in October, and I really want to be a good host for that, because it's a big event, and maybe hope to sort of pre-record a few videos, because this year I got quite ill partway through October, just a virusy thing, but it sort of meant that a few of my plans didn't come through. So, commit to hosting properly if you're hosting. And then in December, we're going to run again Remember December, which was a readathon about rereading, enjoying a bit of rereading in December. It seems like a nice time of year to reread things. Rereading something that I've kind of got back into in the last few years in a better way, and I really enjoyed Remember December, and it's a very low key readathon, but I again want to be a good host for that. So that's my sort of plan for 2024. I would love to hear about your sort of plans, and your feelings about reading goals. Are you goal driven or totally spontaneous? Yeah, it's what and which you think is better.